Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go.
And a good evening, everyone. Welcome to Keep It in the Ring. I'm Rich Mancuso for this edition of Thursday evening, April 24th, 2025, live on my YouTube channel, Rich Mancuso. Like, comment, and subscribe. Also at String Punk Entertainment, AGT Network, and like the Keep It in the Ring page on Facebook. Welcome in once again for the next hour. We have a lot to do. And as always, reach me on social media, X, Twitter, Ring786, Facebook.com, Rich Mancuso. I'm also on Instagram, Mancuso786. Content can be read that I write. LatinoSports.com, among other websites I write for. Tommy D will be joining me from TDC Sportsbook, my esteemed great colleague and friend, in a few moments. We have a lot to do this week. Let's get to it. Also, the boxing schedule scrolled at the bottom of your screen. A brawl in the UK, that's coming up this weekend. We'll talk about Ben and Eubanks Jr., and that's going to be a brawl. Shakur Stevenson has a title shot coming up with his defense of a title, and maybe a new promoter, maybe not. That's news and more updates on that. The boxing news and the analysis, we have plenty of that, and a lot of wrestling in the second part of the show tonight. WrestleMania. To me, it was a dud. What do you think? Let me know in the comments sections. We'll go and run down that show. Me and Tommy D will do that. Robbie Rebel won't be with us this week, unfortunately. Back with us next week. But we have a lot more with nostalgia and everything else. It's Keep It in the Ring, as always, live here Thursday night on my YouTube channel, Rich Mancuso. Let's get to it. All right, Chris Eubanks Jr. and Conor Benn, the sons of legendary fighters who had a grudge match in October of 1993. That's going way back for many who don't remember, but I do. They had a brawling history. So Saturday night, about 5 p.m. Eastern time here in the United States, over in the UK, after heated exchanges and a fight that was called off because Ben tested positive for PEDs and was eventually suspended by the British Boxing Control Board, then reinstated. This brawl resumes in another era with the sons of the two legendary fighters who made history back then. These two, Ben and Eubanks Jr., will fight at middleweight. Eubanks Sr. won't be there in his son's corner, because he said smashing an egg on Ben's face at the initial press conference a few months ago. He said, "I didn't teach you to do that," said Eubanks Sr. He says he is, and says it's not business when you do something like that. It's personal, and an egg smash heard around the world, we all know, what resulted in that. There's animosity. There's been buildup. And now we have this major fight that can eventually become a brawl. There's no doubt about it. And Ben is moving up in weight. Can he handle middleweight, being that he's at 147? And Eddie Hearn at Matchroom, promoter of this card, who today at the final press conference dismissed himself because he was tired of the disrespect that Eubanks Jr. was giving Eddie Hearn. It got ugly. Hearn walked off the stage and eventually came back. You know, the one thing I got to say about Eubanks Jr. is he can be very disrespectful. Sometimes he doesn't know when to shut up, and sometimes he doesn't know when to show respect. And we're getting tired of the same old, which makes him the enemy among fight fans, the way he acts, especially at the press conference. And most of all, that egg smash to the head that was heard around the world. Well, finally here in Tottenham Hotspur Stadium in London, Ben says after this he's fighting back at 147. That's the division he really wants. It's getting interesting again, though, with that division at 147. Of course, Ryan Garcia and Devin Haney moving from 140, and we'll have their encounters separately next week in New York City, Times Square, part of that big Rings of Fury Ring Magazine event. So, Tommy D, come on in. Let me bring you in your thoughts on this anticipated clash Saturday night in the UK. Nigel Benn and Chris Eubanks Jr.
Well, Conor Ben.
Conor Bennett. I
Yeah.
always confuse father and son because I knew both fathers. That's why going back. Now, Eubank is 35 years old, though he does have experience. Ben is 28 years old. What are your thoughts on this, Tom? Are you looking forward
I
to it
don't
as
know. I
many
mean,
fight
it's
fans are on the zone?
I think the hype has got me to look forward to it. At first, I really didn't care much about it, but I'm interested. I mean, the egg smash heard around the world. I think kind of drew me more to this. And these guys, they don't like each other. And Conor Ben has been kind of been a thorn to his side for a while, calling him out, and they the blatant disrespect that they had for each other. Um, Obviously, they were supposed to fight a couple years ago. Conor Ben popped because of supposedly some bad eggs. He popped dirty, So one thing we learned in Conor Ben's comeback is that power is gone all of a sudden. So could it be that he was really taking something? He swears he didn't, but he hasn't stopped anybody. He hasn't even looked, as stellar as he did before he popped dirty. And then on top of that, he's moving up in weight. He's moving up to 160.
Oh, that's going to be the question. Can he handle 160? He says he's going back to 147 after this fight, and more importantly, Tom, this is more of an important fight for Ben than it is for Eubanks Jr. Because if Ben loses, then we don't know. He's mediocre.
Yeah.
That's what it comes down to. Thanks for the comments as they keep coming in. We want your comments on this fight because a lot of hype, but not getting any interest as some of the other major fights that have been this year. But this one, I think, is going to be a brawl because they've already shown there's animosity, and Eubanks Jr. does not like this guy at all.
He doesn't like him. He doesn't like Hearn, and he doesn't like. I don't think Eubanks likes the business of boxing in general.
No, then he should get out.
Yeah.
He might be at 35 years of age. Yeah. But I find it to be an interesting fight because even though Ben is moving up in weight for this one, 2 weight classes, I find it interesting because you know why? It's been the drama of all this. Going back to this fight that was supposed to happen 2 years ago. Yeah. And Ben has a lot to prove. He has a lot to prove. And it's more than that egg smash to the face or the head that was heard around the world a few months ago that initiated all of this. It's been Eubanks Jr. resentment towards Ben using PEDs and claiming, and Ben says it was because of eggs, whether you can believe that or not.
And I find it hard to believe. I mean, it's just, to me, it's just nonsense. And then if it wasn't the eggs, then why he hasn't looked the same, on his 2 comeback fights, right? He hasn't looked the same. He fought a guy, I don't remember the guy's name, and then he fought our guy, Pete. And Pete Dobson was out for a long time, so he fought a guy that hasn't been active. And Pete gave him a good run for his money. Pete showed some rust. I think if Pete was in better shape or more active, I think he would have beat Ben that night. So I don't know. It's interesting. I'm intrigued by it. The fathers, they had some history. Eubanks is up 2-0, right? I think Eubanks beat Nigel twice.
Yeah, they had a trilogy, in fact. Yeah.
Wasn't it a trilogy? Okay.
Yeah. No, you might be right. I got to double check that. I think it might have been just 2 fights, but it's more than the father-son connection, and now leading to the new generation of the 2 sons. Yeah. Again, I'm going to bring this up. There are implications in this fight more for Ben than for Eubanks, because just about now Eubanks Jr. is just about done what he could do. And also, from the onset of this fight, from the first round, when those bells ring, I do not think you're going to see 2 fighters that are going to be boring. I think you're going to see, Tom, a lot of action right away. And you're going to see, I believe, a classic boxing brawl.
I think Conor's going to try to make it a brawl. I think Eubanks that's not his style. Eubanks is not a brawler. He's more of a boxer, puncher. It all depends on who imposes their style in the fight. Conor's going to try to make it a brawl. He's going to come straight at him. He's going to want to come and knock his head off from the first bell. Eubanks is going to move and try to box and counter. So It all depends. Can Connor and I believe if Connor can do that and get Eubanks to fight his fight, I think Eubanks would be in trouble. Because
I agree. I
We've seen
think,
Eubanks
yeah,
get dropped and stopped.
Ben to me is a fighter that will be on the attack. And if you attack him, he's going to come right at you even stronger.
Yeah.
And that I am looking for this fight to not go the distance. I mean, whether you could take it or not, I don't know what the odds are on this fight, but regardless, I do believe that this fight will not go the distance. Who's going to win it? I don't know. That I can't say, but it's not going the distance. What are your thoughts?
It's tough. I think it does go the distance. I'm picking Eubanks as of now. I think Eubanks would outclass him. Whether or not he gets a decision is a different story, because we've seen crazy things before when it comes to the judges. But I think Eubanks, the size, him at 160, I think the experience. I have to favor Eubanks in this fight.
It's going to be interesting to see how Ben handles 160.
Yeah.
And it's interesting for any fighter who wants to move up in weight. And that's going to be a center of attention in September when Terrence Crawford fights Canelo Alvarez. He's moving up 2 weights to see if he can handle that. But we all know they never come in at weight anyway. No. They dehydrate. They come in larger and more at weight when they get in the ring on fight night. But again, an interesting, compelling fight in the UK on the Zone. Ben and Eubanks Jr. Saturday night. It's 5 p.m. Eastern. That's when they're going to be in the ring. There is a good undercard as well on this. You got Chris Balaam-Smith, 20-2, 13 knockouts against Brandon Glatton. Smith returns after losing the WBA Cruiserweight title in November to the unified champ Gilberto Ramirez Zuro. And then you have Leon Smith versus Aaron McKenna, who has interest in Smith. He's 34-1, 20 knockouts, the former junior middleweight champion, lost the 10-rounder of all people to the guy who's on the main event of this card, Eubank Jr., in September of 2023. So basically, it's a rematch. McKenna, 19-0, 10 knockouts. He's the prospect looking to get the win and go up that ladder, notch up the ladder in the middleweight division. It's getting more interesting as we speak, Tom.
Yeah, it's good. And Liam Smith is a guy that stopped Eubanks, right? I mean,
yeah.
And then Eubanks had that ugly knot on his head. So, it's interesting. McKenna, I don't know much about him. We know about Liam Smith. He comes to fight. He's a solid, challenger and opponent. And he's in fights that are, let's say attractive and entertaining, right? So I think that's a good undercard fight for this card.
So we never got to see Joshua and Tyson Fury in the UK, and eventually maybe that'll happen. But we have this Saturday night. We have Ben, we have Eubanks Jr., we have Smith, we have a good undercard. And I believe you can catch the whole thing starting Eastern time. I think the card starts at noon Eastern time here in the States. And then that main event goes on at 5. So a lot of boxing in the UK, which, of course, has a great history in the sport. They're more fights, more with Queensberry and Frank Warren and even Eddie Hearn with Matchroom. Sheffield, England. Let's turn the attention to Dalton Smith over the weekend. A unanimous decision win over Matthew German. He moved around. He avoided Smith's punches. The punch stats, courtesy of CompuBox, showed the story. German went down in the round 10, and the second round and the 11th. And Dalton landed 87 more punches, 42 more body shots. The judges had it 117, 107, 119, 105, all for Smith, who's now 18-0, 13 knockouts. And now mandated also to challenge Albert Pulo for the WBC junior welterweight title. So says Eddie Hearn, who has a lot of say in the matter, with a lot of fights and a lot of divisions with his stable of fighters. So that's interesting. And then this, Josh Warrington, the junior lightweight, the unanimous decision over Vasad Khan, his first fight from coming out of retirement, where we heard that before. Warrington, 32-4-1, 8 knockouts. He's not done by all means. And then we turn our attention to this, Tom. Let's look at Amanda Serrano, who is the premier female fighter, the best female fighter on the planet, as they say. But she may have some competition with Gabriel Fundora. She main evented a card for Golden Boy over the weekend, also on the zone, a TKO over Marilyn Badillo, the 7th round. She's now 16-0, 8 knockouts, undefeated flyweight champ. Fundora here again, relentless, landing 99 power punches, scored a knockdown in round 9. Tom, does she continue to impress you? Does she ever surpass Amanda Serrano in popularity?
I think time will tell. She's an entertaining fighter. She's winning fights by knockout. I mean, this past fight, the girl that she fought, not really a well-known person. She was undefeated, but really didn't fight anybody. But she made her quit. She dropped her, and the girl said no mas, didn't want anymore. The fight before this, it was an undisputed championship fight, and she got a stoppage in that fight as well. So time will tell. She's young. They know how to build fighters there at Golden Boy, so, especially Latino fighters, right? So I don't know. What the time will tell. I can see her moving up in weight as well. So let's see. And now where the women's division is getting hotter and hotter, you got that big card coming up in July. There's some good fighters,
They're very good female fighters, and that whole female card. All-female card coming up in July 11th, Madison Square Garden, New York City, MVP Promotions, Amanda Serrano highlights. The thing is, with Fundora, you have the Fundora family. Her brother, of course, Sebastian, the WBO junior middleweight champ, and that's the first brother-sister combination to hold titles at the same time, which they've made boxing history. She goes on, but we look ahead, Tom, and we talk about MVP and Jake Paul. Last week I said, who's he going to fight next? Well, sure enough, during the week we find out he has an opponent. This is a fight that, Julio Chavez Jr., the troubled kid who's no longer a kid. A weight limit of this fight will be 200 pounds. All right. A zone pay-per-view card in Anaheim, California. And also the undercard is interesting because we just talked about Zulo Ramirez. He defends his cruiserweight title versus Dorcakis. I think I'm pronouncing his name right. But Chavez Jr. with Jake Paul. Come on.
I don't know how to feel about this. I spoke with friends about this already. I mean, he's a legit fighter. Obviously past his prime, and a guy that didn't take boxing as serious, as his father did, right? He had one great moment, and that was in a loss and a defeat to Sergio Martinez, where he had that great last round and almost stopped Sergio.
I've known the kid I've known him since he was a kid when he started with Top Rank. I met him when he was introduced by Top Rank in New York City at the old Copacabana nightclub in New York. And they introduced him and everything else. And he had some success. And he had the talent off his father's name. And then he constantly got into issues. The marijuana smoking, the suspensions, and so forth. And then he makes his comeback. But now he's fighting Jake Paul. My question again, is this an opponent that Jake Paul really needs? He could probably find no one. He wanted Canelo. He wanted this one. So he settles for Chavez Jr. Regardless, fans are going to tune in and watch this fight on pay-per-view because it's Jake Paul. And I'll tell you this much. Jake Paul really has to impress me. And he does, because to me, this is still not a legitimate opponent for Jake Paul.
Let's see how the fight plays out. Let's see if Chavez Jr. comes in shape. Let's see if he's off the medicine. I won't say any other words if he's not on the
No,
medicine, if he's clean.
we don't want to get in more
You know,
trouble than we get.
I think you're gonna have a decent card. They're teaming up with Golden Boy, right? So Golden Boy is help promoting this fight as well.
Which surprised me. I didn't think Oscar De La Hoya or Golden Boy would ever work with Jake Paul.
Yeah, I didn't think so either.
They have to, but De La Hoya is one of those promoters in the sport. He says we have to work together to make the fights, and there you go. We have it. You know.
Yeah,
but I honestly, I have no interest in that fight at all. I want to see Jake Paul fight legitimate, good opponents.
Yeah.
Chavez Jr. to me is not that one. But if
No,
Jake Paul wins this fight, then the next one has to be real for Jake Paul.
Yeah.
It has to be.
If Jake Paul wins. Now, I know people are saying it's not a real fight because we don't know, what's being paid underneath the table. I don't want to make any accusations. But if Chavez Jr. comes to fight, he does have the experience. He's been in the ring with some Hall of Fame worthy fighters. Jake Paul has not. I mean, Mike Tyson, but he was 60 years old. So
I know.
I don't want to discredit this fight. Let's see how Chavez Jr.
We'll see how it goes. But
I think
at
it's a worthy opponent. If
200 pounds. Chavez Jr. has put on all that weight. I remember he started out as a lightweight, and he was that good. He was a prospect. He was going to be the future and got into all the trouble. And now he ballooned to 200 pounds. He's fighting Jake Paul. It comes down to this, Tom, and we all know it. It's going to make a lot of money. That's what it's about, right?
Yeah.
All right. And Roberto Zula Ramirez, who made his comeback, became champion, defends his cruiserweight title. Again, I want to see Ramirez continue to prevail. I like him. I always did. He's a gentleman. That's why the point. But he always had the skills. He had a setback, then comes back and has a comeback successfully and wins a title. For good for him. So that's something to see soon. Of course, we have the all-female card in the Garden, July 11th at the arena. And the big news, Madison Square Garden, Ring Magazine, The Zone. Supposedly, this is going to be at the Garden. I don't know what you heard. Your sources and mine are a little different. Yeah. The last I heard, Shakur Stevenson will defend his WBC lightweight title against William Zapata, a fight they've been talking about for the longest. But as reported by Dan Raphael, an esteemed boxing journalist, and now later discounted today by Eddie Hearn at Matchroom, Shakur said he's leaving Matchroom and he's going to have, with his 2-fight deal with Eddie Hearn, and going to promoter Lou DiBella. Now, Lou DiBella has said that's not true. Said that today. But that Stevenson is still under the wing of Eddie Hearn in Matchroom. So this gets interesting. Stevenson, Zapata, and regardless, this will be his last fight with Eddie Hearn. And Eddie Hearn says he has no problem. He wants to keep Shakur. He's going to wait and see what develops out of this fight. And then Lou DiBella would get Shakur Stevenson, who is expected to win and defend this title. Tom, your thoughts?
It's kind of all over the place, and Shakur is kind of all over the place here because, if memory serves me right, DiBella put out a tweet on how boring Shakur Stevenson is.
You're absolutely right.
It was, I don't know the words per se, but he put out a tweet. So now he wants to sign the guy, or he does sign the guy. Like, I just find that a little bit weird. I also find it weird.
Let's face it, Shakur's last 2 fights have not been the exciting type of fights you want to see. Very, very boring. Lowest punches thrown, I believe, against De La Rosa, right?
The Dominican. Oh my God! He's about to fight
right,
Keyshawn Davis.
Right.
Yeah,
those were lowest punches thrown or landed, according to CompuBox. So Lou DiBella was absolutely right. But when it comes down to money, as it is in this sport today, like it is, who cares? Yeah. If Lou DiBella gets him, he gets him. In the meantime, Shakur is going to headline that Ring Magazine card, and a card that's stacked. Let's take a look at it, because it's a homecoming for Edgar Berlinger. We don't know for sure if it's a Madison Square Garden the next night after the all-female card against Hazi Shariz, the WBC super middleweight title eliminator. Shariz is 21-0 1-1 with 17 knockouts. He's coming off that controversial draw against WBC middleweight champ Carlos Adames in February at his debut at 160. There's no doubt title implications in this one. And Subriel Mateus, who I always liked, he's not fighting in Puerto Rico. The former champion at 140 is coming back to fight Alberto Pulo. We just mentioned him for the WBC junior welterweight title. And David Morrell, who had his hands full against David Benavidez versus Iman Kadyrov, who's undefeated, 10-9 knockouts. Tom, that looks like a very stacked card of boxing. Turkey and
card. In my opinion,
Fury, Ring of Fury, whatever they're calling it. Don't know if it's going to be at the Garden or someone else. You heard something, maybe Central Park?
I heard Central Park. I don't know if they were joking or what, but they said it's not guaranteed that it's going to be in the Garden because it's the day after the Amanda Serrano fight.
I don't know how they would pull that off.
And you're already going to have a crazy week as far as press conferences, weigh-ins.
Right. I don't know.
It's crazy.
I don't know.
And then get this.
I mean, it can be done. It can be done.
Yeah,
I don't think it's ever been done before at the Garden, but it's just back-to-back major cards of boxing at the Garden in New York. How much can you have? You got to separate press conferences, weigh-ins, the logistics. This is what fans seem to fail to understand. The logistics of putting these cards together and the time you have to do it. And to have two major fight cards at the same venue and in back-to-back days, I don't know how they can pull that off. So it remains to be seen if we'll see Shakur Sabata in the Garden or maybe what the Turk guy likes to do, unusual venues. Alcatraz, he talking about the pyramids. He's talking about, you might as well do it in the Bronx somewhere where there's a lot of history. And who knows? He might be thinking of that because the Bronx has boxing history. Tom, just going to go back, nostalgia early. Before boxing came to Madison Square Garden, boxing shows were promoted at the old Bronx Coliseum, right here in the Bronx where I am. And there were great champions that came out of that. Fight cards every week. So who knows? Maybe the Turk guy's thinking of the Bronx. Welcome. I'll bring him in.
They can't do the stadium. They used to do. They can't do the stadium.
No, Yankee Stadium doesn't want no more boxing. Here's the word, because I'm there, and I know the officials, and they told me they didn't like the element that was in their stadium in the initial year it opened up in 2009 for the Yuri Foreman Miguel Cotto fight, and the rings apparently messed up their cathedral field. Whatever it did, the planks or whatever. So they don't want boxing. And that's a shame because the old Yankee Stadium was historic with major championship fights going back in boxing history. And they thought maybe they could revive boxing at Yankee Stadium. But who knows? With the Turk guys' money, maybe they will do it there. They couldn't do it during the baseball season, though.
No, they couldn't. July, because,
it's too much going on. They couldn't do it.
Check to see if they're in the road. But another thing about this card is that they've been saying that Berlanga was the main event, not Shakur.
No, that's interesting. It's his homecoming to New York and an important fight being coming off the Canelo Alvarez loss where he performed better than expected. He's not the main event. But then again, Shakur's the champion, so you might as well make him the main event.
Yeah, I don't see. But I do like, Puello versus Matias. I think that's a great fight. And David Morrell against this guy, I can't pronounce his name. This guy is good and he's got power.
I know.
So it's gonna be interesting.
Well, it's gonna be interesting. I look forward to that. I really do.
They might wait. They might be waiting to see how next week goes, and if it goes well, they might throw it in Times Square.
No, I don't know if New York City would want, the officials would want another show in Times Square. They got to see how this one goes first. And what I'm hearing, it's still not, as we're talking about that now, because it's next Friday, of course, in Times Square, Teofimo Lopez, Barboza Jr., Haney Ramirez, Garcia's return after a suspension. It was finally lifted. He's back for sure. After a year, and he's excited and all hyped up about it. His mentality is there. Logistically, from what I heard yesterday from some top New York City officials that I know, NYPD and whatever, they still don't know how they're going to pull this off, even though they're only having 300, 350 invited fans that are going to be able to attend. You know there's going to be more than that. Times Square, you're going to have thousands and thousands are going to want to see this spectacle, Tom.
Yeah, how are they going to block it off? And it's going to be weird.
I don't know. Logistically, it's still not clear, but they don't have much time left to straighten that all out, do they? Because we're almost a week away from this big event. But the big weekend next weekend will continue. There's Canelo Alvarez and William Skull in Saudi Arabia the next night. Canelo going for that IBF title to get all the belts once again. And then the next night, Top Rank, Las Vegas, Inoue, the great champion from Japan, back in the United States, ESPN. That's Sunday night. So next weekend, you got your load of boxing all weekend long, from Friday till Sunday night.
Yeah.
You know? All right. And of course, Tom, the WBA this week, I want your opinion on this. They elevated Jerome Boutsenis to the super middleweight champion. Super champion. They elevated him. He's the IBF. He's an undisputed, almost unified champ in the Division 147. They decided to elevate him now to super champion. And Garcia and Romero on that card next Friday are fighting for the vacant WBA welterweight championship at 147 pounds, of course. This is more confusion. Yeah. Now you know why boxing doesn't get the respect. What is the idea of Jerome Boutsenis being elevated to a super champion? What does that mean?
I don't get it. And then what does it mean to like make a catchweight earn an interim title for the WBA? What is it? Is that 144? I mean,
as much as you and I eat, drink, and sleep this sport 24/7, and a lot of fans also do, ask these sanctioning organizations, what the hell are they doing? Maybe the Turk guy in the ring, maybe they got the right idea. One champion for each division. The heck with the super and the interim status. It's enough to lose more head here on the top of my head. It really is. Yeah. It aggravates me. David Benavidez. Look at this one. And you know about David Benavidez. We're talking about him. He wants Demetrio Bivol. All right? Bivol had to relinquish that WBC light heavyweight title. Why? I don't know. But he might get Arturo Beterbiev first before Bivol Beterbiev have a so-called trilogy that's been talked about at some point this year. WBA presented Benavidez this week with their title belt. What do you make of that?
I think it's a joke. I think it's just ridiculous. If they're going to do a third fight, they should just do it right now, get it out the way. Benavidez has been waiting patiently in 2 divisions already. I'm very shocked that Benavidez accepted it. I mean, if I was Benavidez, I wouldn't have accepted it. The way they did him, especially the WBC, right? Where they didn't make him the mandatory to Canelo at 160. Yeah. At 168.
Well, look, it only adds to Benavidez's resume and gives him another title status. Yeah. And his quest to unify if he decides to stay a light heavyweight. That's what it is. And we don't know who he's fighting next. That's going to be the question. Top Rank and ESPN parting ways, Tom. That's official after their 5-year deal. It's official. In August, it all ends. Bob Arum, Hall of Fame promoter, Top Rank, says they won't be exclusive to one TV partner. They will distribute their events to multiple platforms, similar to what other sports leagues do. So that alliance with Top Rank and ESPN officially will be over. And that explains why Joe Testador is now a lead announcer with WWE SmackDown. Yeah. He knew it was coming. And why Mark Chinook, who doesn't have that same name, is a ring announcer for WWE SmackDown. He was a top-ranked boxing ring announcer. He's now with WWE. That might have been a prelude to all this. They were probably told behind closed doors, we're done with ESPN, we're going elsewhere. That's a shame. I enjoyed, and also this, multiple platforms now with Top Rank means more streaming. ESPN, at least you could see fights on ESPN for free as part of your cable deal. But cable distribution, cable networks are diminishing day by day, more and more. They're losing customers. It's the streaming networks with boxing. That's what Bob Arum's going to do. Multiple platforms. Wonder where he's going to head. Amazon Prime, Time Warner, maybe Max.
Well, they've been partnering up kind of with PBC. I think they're about to announce a card in Japan.
With Amazon Prime, right? Good point.
Norman Jr.
Good point.
I think PBC is going to be part of that card as well. So
good, very good point, Tom. He never wanted to work with the PBC. Now he will because he needs a media distribution deal on multiple platforms. That Bob Arum Top Rank. Okay, Tom, let me give you this brief MMA note. Stay there. Before that, though, it was official. Came in late today. The Unified Heavyweight Championship. The champion, Usyk. He's got his defense. He's opposing IBF champ Daniel Dubois, who wanted him. July 19th, Wembley in London. We have a title fight, unified maybe, heavyweight championship. No talk of Tyson Fury. It's Usyk and Daniel Dubois. July 19th at Wembley in London. And so the Ring Magazine and the Turk Guy title fights in a heavyweight division as well, Tom. They seem to be taking over day by day.
Yeah, this is a huge fight in Wembley Stadium. I mean, they're going to – I don't know. It could fit. How many people does it fit? I know it's like a big – it's got a large capacity.
Wembley could fit up to at least 90,000 or more.
That's going to be a phenomenal.
And they wanted to do Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua there. Might have gone back 2 years ago. Yeah. Instead, they're going to get Dubois and Usyk, who many say Usyk is the top pound-for-pound fighter in the business. I can't disagree with that one bit at all. A UFC note, Tom, 316 at the Prudential Center in Newark, New Jersey. It's Saturday, June 7, ESPN pay-per-view. And by the way, Dana White is going to part ways with ESPN as well. Hasn't been happy, and their deal is over. So he's looking for another media rights deal. The main event that night, bantamweight champ Merab versus former title holder, the number one contender, Sean O'Malley. So that's on the docket in Newark, New Jersey. Maybe I'll go to that one with you on June 7th. Get a little octagon in there instead of the ring, Tom?
Maybe. They're going to be busy there. It was in Prudential Center because the Top Rank might have their last card with ESPN might be
Vito Milanecki. Yeah.
They just added Jahai Tucker on that card.
They're not coming, and that's interesting. They don't seem like they're coming to the Garden in June to do the annual Puerto Rican Day event, Eve event. They have done that every year since Felix Trinidad was their champ, and then Miguel Cotto, and it's been very successful. But it doesn't seem like they're going to do it this year in June, and I thought they would, and of course feature that guy, Xander Zayas, who's in back of me every week. Tom, you ready for the fact of the week? You're going to do it with me this week, okay?
Let's do it. Let me put it up real quick.
All right, here we go, my friend. You're going to get this.
Last week I got my first one, so.
Yeah, well, maybe you'll get this one too. Be two. Strike three, then I'm out. The United States is best known for boxing, not including Saudi Arabia now, and of course other nations. But the United States is best known for boxing. This is a fact, not trivia. Name me some other countries that have been known for boxing over the last 10 years besides the United States. All right. I'll give you the first one, and you would know the UK because we've been talking about that. All right. What others? Can you name me three more?
Canada.
No.
No? Saudi Arabia?
I mentioned that already.
Okay. So wow, Canada's not one. Other countries. So if not get Mexico.
Mexico for sure.
Mexico. Wow. Ireland?
No, but could be in there, but it's not on my list.
Wow, I'm trying to.
How about Southeast Asia? How about Southeast Asia? And we talked about their champion a little while ago.
Oh, okay. Japan.
Gotcha. No. And one other It's not very favorable, but I did visit there and did a boxing show there over
Australia?
25 years ago. No, Australia's getting more busy, but not on the list. I visited this country almost 30 years ago and did a fight there, and I'm glad I did. It was a marvelous city, despite the controversy with this country.
Oh man, I
Think,
can't.
Bird, think, be thou.
What? So somewhere in Russia or?
Russia, yes.
Oh, Russia. Okay. Oh, all right.
Yeah.
There's so many different
So,
countries or different places in Russia that you know. So that's why I
yeah.
was like,
Well, yeah,
yeah.
Mexico, Russia, Japan, besides Saudi Arabia now and others, and the United States, of course, best known for boxing. My fact of the week this week. You did your best with
Wow.
it, Tom. I'll
I'm
give that
very
to you.
shocked Canada was not one of them. Canada's a big boxing country, I thought.
Yeah, but not as of late. Mobility's from there, the
Yeah.
super middleweight, and
And
in fact, I think he's
Beterbiev has lived there for a while. So I mean,
yeah. But it's that fact was about fight shows being held in those
okay.
countries. So
Held, okay.
anyway, good shot at it, Tom. Time to take our quick first time out of the night because it's going to come back. It's me and you. We're going to talk WrestleMania. I thought it was a dud, and no Robbie Rebel this week. It's just going to be me and you going over WrestleMania. We got a lot of that, much more. It's Keep It in the Ring. I'm Rich Mancuso. Like, comment, subscribe to my YouTube channel, Rich Mancuso, the AGT Network, String Punk Entertainment, most of all as well, and my Facebook page. Like it. Keep It in the Ring. Tom, back in a moment. I'm Rich Mancuso. That's Tom. Keep it in ring. Stay with us.
Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go.
Mo, I'm checking the NFL draft, Tom. I see Cam Ward, Tennessee
Was the first pick?
Titans. Yep.
Yeah, I think
Yep.
that's a good pick. I think
Yep.
he's the top guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You'll talk about that on your show when? Tomorrow night?
Tomorrow I'm gonna talk about that and break it
Well,
down.
when is that on again?
Tomorrow
Tell the
night we're
people.
on at about 10:05 Eastern time, PM.
Okay. We'll look forward to that. The NFL draft. I'll be at Yankee Stadium tomorrow night. Want to trade
Okay.
places?
Yeah, not fair. I'm going to be in Yankee Stadium in a couple weeks. My organization's got two suites.
Okay.
You know, so
Well, what I got to
they're
do
not
is
gonna let
work
us
on.
sit in the suite,
I
though.
got to work on getting you a press credential to cover a Yankee game with me one day.
Oh, that would
All
be
right.
cool.
We'll
Okay.
work on that. All right.
All right.
Let's talk pro wrestling. Okay. I got to touch on AEW real quick. Then we're going to get to WrestleMania.
Okay.
And just real quick, what's going on with them? Because MJF looks like going to go to Hurt Syndicate. That looks like that. RTF or whatever they're called, they become tremendous heels with the Young Bucks. My point is, they're in the Owen Hart tournament. I don't know where they're headed. Their storylines can never compare to WWE. They're all over the place. Swerve, and now you got Samoa Joe announced for May 14th, my birthday, and John Moxley for the title. And I hope Samoa Joe gets it from Moxley. I'm tired of Moxley. I really am. So I'm not going to focus on AEW more than that tonight. A lot of discuss about WrestleMania 41, the two-night event, Las Vegas, Allegiant Stadium. Highest grossing event according to WWE with 124,693 fans in 2 nights. All right. Their viewership also, they say, was up over last year from Lincoln Financial in Philadelphia. All right. Before I talk about why it was a dud, their big announcement was this as well at WrestleMania weekend. Put that up, Tom. They are now aligning with a AAA in Mexico, which is huge because those guys need exposure. They're great Lucha Libre stars. Worlds collide Saturday, June 7th from the Kia Forum in Los Angeles. Going to be the beginning of this alliance. And they're also talking about overtaking Puerto Rico, WWE. They got the money to do it. But back to WrestleMania, the show. It was a dud to me, Tom. It bombed out. Lots of new champions. Lots of new champions. Put this up first. Put this up. Put up Triple H. You have Triple H next on the screen here.
Yeah.
Hall of Fame, 10 p.m. Eastern after SmackDown. Triple H over an hour or more talking about his induction, just about wrote his book at the podium getting inducted. Much too long. Much too long. And then this. Put him up. This show was a dud. The John Cena, now greatest of all time, 17 title. And here's the thing. And we'll play some video now, too. Without The Rock. Now, I was on a couple of all sports talk radio stations Sunday night talking about this. And later we get the explanation from The Rock on the Pat McAfee show the other day that The Rock excused himself for this because he wanted to give these two the spotlight and feels that they will get back to the storyline that Cena sold out to The Rock and gave him his soul. Travis Scott interferes and causes Rhodes to lose the title makes no sense. That alone made it more of a dud. This, to me, was one of the worst WrestleManias of all time. Besides the point, it's 2 nights. I only like one.
Yeah.
But John Cena is the champ for now. Probably will hide that title, and eventually he'll turn babyface again. Tom, you got some what video have you got of Cena rolling?
I got the intro to Cena. So, like, I thought the match was okay. Overall, WrestleMania was not the worst, but definitely not the greatest. I just didn't like the way it ended. I thought they could have done a better job. And The Rock is very disappointed because he created the storyline.
The whole storyline revolved around The Rock, and we didn't see him after the Elimination Chamber.
It's terrible.
Then we get the explanation on the Pat McAfee show.
I didn't like it at all, the ending. I mean, I had no problem. Yeah, I had no problem with him going over, but
horrible storytelling, horrible creativity here. But The Rock said that he was involved with this, and there were discussions about doing it another way. And then he said, you know what, let them handle it. You know, he was never there, and he was never going to get involved from the beginning. So why do it from the beginning? Total insanity. Play some video, Tom. Here's
Cena's walkthrough, which was pretty cool that he came out just the basic entry. So I'll play a little bit of his ring walk.
Yeah. So he's got a mixed reaction from the fans, boos and cheers. Yeah. But he's getting more cheers. I saw that Monday night on Raw. He's getting more cheers. And Bella Faith brings up a good point. How much were the tickets? How much did they cost? And I heard they were upwards of over $2,000. They spent an awful lot of money from all over the world to go to Allegiant Stadium WrestleMania events, which brings an awful lot of revenue. That's why cities bid for WrestleMania. But John Cena is the champ. John Cena is the champ, and we know what's going to happen next. And I think we have an image of, we can show that Monday Night Raw. You saw Randy.
I got the ending, so let me just show the ending.
Show that.
Problem being a bad guy. Cody Rhodes wanted to do it fair and square. John Cena didn't give a damn. Chad Patton is back.
You cannot be a perfect
Cena
ambassador.
Now. Cover by Cena. Patton's in the ring. John Cena has set the record.
That was the ending.
Great ending, wasn't it? Travis Scott. Who the hell wanted to see Travis Scott? Ridiculous. Plus the immense amount of rappers that were at the event as well. I could see it's entertainment. I see where WWE is going. That made WrestleMania for sure a dud. And Monday night, we saw Cena's next opponent to defend, who doesn't have a lot of appearance coming up on the calendar. RKO. Randy Orton defeated TAN champ Joe Hendry, which was a surprise, quickly. Then he RKO'd Cena. That's the new feud, Tom. That's who Cena's going to have next.
I like it.
Backlash.
I like it, but then I don't like it. I like it because it's a good storyline, because the next guy in line to kind of break the record is Randy. He's got 14 world titles. I don't like it because I don't think he's going to go over. Like, they just put him
he's not going to win it. He's not going to win it.
He's not going to win it. Yeah.
Cena's going to hold this title, this championship, towards the end of the year in his retirement tour, because that's when he's retiring, and then he'll turn babyface again, or maybe even before that. Regardless, he's not the same type of wrestler. His skills aren't the way they were. That's evident. And the way it ended, it was a dud.
Yeah.
Horrible.
Yeah. I didn't like the ending. I thought they could have done a better storyline. And
Terrible. That's the last thing you expected, Travis Scott to interfere in that match. Everyone's waiting for The Rock, and there's no Rock. Yeah. No Rock at all since the Elimination Chamber. Horrible.
And then another thing, speaking of Randy Orton, the Joe Hendry match, I can't believe they made him lose like that. They could have made a good match. He's good. He's over.
I know. It doesn't make Henry look good, or TNA. They have an alliance with TNA WWE. Didn't make him look good, Henry. Did not at all. Letting their champion lose at WrestleMania? You know? We're not on the creative team. We don't do the booking, so it's up to them.
Exactly. Triple H.
All right. Let's take a look at this. Let's take a look at this. And if you have more video as we go along with this rundown,
I got you.
You just let me know and we'll play it. The main event, night one. Here we go. You got Seth Rollins now aligning with Paul Heyman. We had heard talk about this. I talked about it last week. And then Braun Breaker is in the picture now. Looks like Heyman's got Rollins and Breaker. And maybe now with the return of Becky Lynch, who won the tag team titles at WrestleMania, and then loses them the next night on Raw, and then turns heel, right?
Yeah, and then turns heel, which I kind of expected. Maybe I didn't. Yeah, I kind of expected.
Where's Becky Lynch go? Maybe Becky Lynch is going to be a part of a faction with her husband, Seth Rollins.
You know what I see could happening? It could be Paulie could be bringing back the Dangerous Alliance. Remember the Dangerous Alliance?
Yeah,
was Braun Breaker's father was in it. Rick Steiner.
That's right.
In the Dangerous Alliance. So that would be pretty cool if he
talk about that. Yep. And of course, Paulie is very involved with the creative part in WWE, and not only with the Bloodline that ran for 4 years, but now this. He's always thinking. He's a mastermind. And he's regularly good at it. Yeah. So this will turn out to be real good. That saved WrestleMania for me a little bit. That with Breaker losing the title, but then I got swerved like a lot of people that Breaker was going to be with Heyman and Rollins. We all got swerved on that. But then Monday night, take a look at this. There's Dom.
Okay.
Dirty Dom. You can put that up. We could talk about that. He is now the new Intercontinental Champion. But I think Judgment Day is on the way out. Him and Finn Balor will probably split. Balor looks like he's going to turn the good guy, the baby face. Yeah. Dom, though, eventually turns good again, with or without the belt, and says goodbye to his father, who will eventually retire Ray. Go to Monday Night Raw, Tom. Take a look at this. Pat McAfee choked out by Gunther, who lost the title to Jey Uso, the world title. That looked as real as could be. And McAfee was talking big about it on his show Monday, how strong Gunther was. I don't know where this is going to go. I don't know where Gunther's future is, and I don't know if maybe they're setting up Gunther and McAfee. I don't know. But this was as real as could be on Monday Night Raw.
I think this was a good booking as far as like to build to build Gunther up. I think Gunther is one of their main stars. He's one of their main heels.
He
And
eventually will become their champ. He
and I
eventually
think
will.
eventually Gunther's going to get the title back.
Yeah.
But they want to establish him as a top heel. So what do? You get him to beat up a referee. You get him to be a ring announcer, and and now you build that heat as a heel. So I think this was done well. To keep his character strong.
Yeah.
So
go back to main event Jey Uso, who deserved that title. Go back to him. He deserves it. Came up very difficult for him, and he came up the ladder. Very popular with the fans, top seller merchandise next to Cody Rhodes. And speaking of Cody Rhodes, we don't know where he's going to. He took some time off.
Yeah.
No, but Jey Uso now, the new world champion. That was a good match. I thought to open up WrestleMania night 1 Saturday night, that was good. So I'm seeing things maybe coming that this is going to be a good event. Okay.
Yeah, I liked it. I thought that was a good first match. I didn't like Gunther tapping to the sleeper choke. But, but I thought it was good work, and to get the crowd amped and into it.
Right.
Get one of their big stars to get it. He's the top merch seller.
Right.
And get him the title. So I thought that everything was good. Here's a little bit of Jey Uso at the post press conference.
How about for over LA Knight?
Jacob Fatu.
Jacob Fatu. Yeah. Who will probably rival Soa Sikoa. The other guys, Tama Tonga or whatever, they're hurt. They're both injured. WWE going through some severe injuries with their roster. Fatu on to Stardom over LA Knight. And then Jake Paul. We talk about his brother, like Logan Paul. Talk about his brother Jake. But Jake continues to impress as a WWE superstar in a limited amount of time. AJ Styles, he beats him, and he's getting Damian Cross is in a part of this angle now. What do you make of this?
I like it. I think Cross is probably, they're trying to give him one last, I guess, shot because they've been trying to work with Cross. I think Cross is I think he's good, but they just don't know how to, get the best out of him or kind of build him up. So maybe this is kind of like the last hurrah for Cross, maybe him and Styles. I don't know if Logan Paul will be a part of it though. I think it's more going to be him and Styles, and maybe Styles puts him over because I think Styles is at the end of his career and he's pretty much there to make other guys look good.
Okay, were you surprised about Stratton defeating Charlotte Flair for the women's title?
I was. I thought Charlotte was going to win. I did not see that coming.
And the War Raiders losing to New Day. I knew New Day would get the tag team titles again.
Yeah.
And they are great heels doing that. And that was a pretty good match, I would say. El Grande Americana. You have some footage on him?
Oh, yeah, I like this guy. This guy.
Why didn't they unmask him and say that's Chad Gable? They're continuing with
eventually, but they got to build it. I think it's a great gimmick.
It's enough. Everyone knows that's Chad Gable. Everyone knows that.
And that's what makes it hilarious. That's what makes it funny. I think it's the best angle out. You know what they do? Socrates, your boy Socrates, he came up with a great suggestion. He said they should bring what was his former partner? The big guy, the guy that he was partnering with the beard, that Chad Gable's partner. I forget his name.
Otis? Not the big guy Otis.
Otis, yeah. So Sock said they should put a mask on him to help Chad, and they could call him Grande Mexicano.
That would be good, but Otis is American made. I think they're not. I think they're called American made. They're not going nowhere. That kind of died.
Oh, that's
when
the other
Gable
team,
left them.
But Otis, they're not doing anything with Otis.
No.
Let me
and what did you make of Jay Carter and Naomi on night 1?
I thought the match was nothing too special. I think Jade needs a lot of work. I think she's great to look at. I think she has a great physique. Like
that's leading up though to this.
Yeah,
it's going to lead up to Jay Carter and Bianca Belair, which should make her. That would be a good match. It'll make her. So overall, Tom, I gave WrestleMania a D. I don't like giving Fs. A D. It was a dud.
It was. It had its moments. You know,
Look.
I like. Let me tell you, I like the Grande Americano match. Let me play the clip real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
¡Que viva la raza! Aquí está el ganador, el acero en la máscara del grande americano, por favor. Una hermosa contienda de parte y parte. Creo que esa acrobacia de referee.
I don't need the translation. You got to off the Spanish read. Good job, Tom. But whatever he said, that's Chad Gable.
It is Chad Gable.
All right.
Do you want to see the ending of the Bianca match, which probably was the best match?
Yeah, let's look at that, being that I mentioned it, then we'll wrap this all up.
This was the best match of the night.
Erneut da kommen. Ripley. Belair, was für eine Schlacht. Oh Gott! Benutzt die Haare als Waffe. Bereitet Ripley vor. Er soll jetzt da sein. KOD. Neuer Champion. Für den Sieg. 2 und Io Sky. Over the Moonsault. 1, 2, 3. Io Sky gewinnt. Io Sky schafft es.
That goes to show what Triple H and creative think about Io Sky. Yeah. Very talented. And to be in there with the other two, Ripley and Bianca Belair, and to retain the title over those two in the triple threat match, that goes to show what they think of her. Because I was pretty sure that Ripley would get the title back. I don't know where she's headed, but she's going to get the title again. But they love Io Sky.
Yeah,
they really do.
She's really over.
So, Tom, again, to wrap this all up, WrestleMania, I think we covered all the bases. We now know what The Rock's explanation was. We now know that John Cena is the greatest of all time with the 17th world title, surpassing Ric Flair. I will know, as I know, WrestleMania 41 that heads to New Orleans next year for 42 was a complete dud.
I don't want to go that far. I'm not going to, I'll give it a C, maybe a C minus.
All right, so you weren't overly impressed either. It was a C minus.
No,
I'm anxious to know what I want the fans, the wrestling fans, watch Keep It in the Ring, and whatever. I want them to let me know. Comment. Let me know your thoughts. What did you think of this WrestleMania? On social media, I got a lot of my followers all said the same thing. They agreed with me, especially that main event with Cena and Rhodes was a dud. The whole show was a dud. Comment, and subscribe to my channel here on YouTube, the AGT Network or Stream Punk Entertainment. Like to Keep It in the Ring Facebook page. Tom, let's wrap up the wrestling edition for the night, unless you have anything else to say about the pro wrestling.
No, I mean, it's good. I mean, I like Monday Night Raw. I thought it was pretty good after the fact. Maybe I'll talk about that tomorrow as well. But yeah, I thought it wasn't terrible. Like the Dirty Dom spot, I thought him winning was good. I like Grande Americano, the women's, the triple threat.
Enough of El Grande Americano. Americana.
I think it's
enough.
Excellent.
I'm going to put a mask on. I'm going to put a mask on your face eventually, and I'm going to call you El Tomo Americano.
I got a few masks here. Don't make me do it. I'll go live tomorrow with the Luchador mask.
All right, Tom, thanks, my friend. We're going to take a last brief timeout, real brief. Come back to Keep It in the Ring with Rich Mancuso. That's Thomas. Nostalgia up next. Stay with us. I'm Rich Mancuso. Brief timeout.
Petwell Clinic was built with busy pet parents like you in mind, providing walk-in preventative vet care, treatment for minor ailments, and chronic condition management. You remain with your pet throughout their visit, and all charges are clearly explained, so there are no surprises at checkout. Just walk in to our Paramus, Greenbrook, or Union locations, or visit us at petwellclinic.com for more information.
Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go.
All right, we're going to wrap up this hour a little more over at Keep It in the Ring. I'm Rich Mancuso, live on my YouTube channel. Like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you for viewing. Thank you all for commenting. And stay with us. It's a nostalgia time right now. I do it every week on the program. And we look at April 24th, 1931. Going back Tony Canizari knocked out Jack Kid Berg in the third round, retaining the world lightweight title, and also claimed the world super lightweight title, that at Chicago Stadium, the second of their great trilogy. Going back in the past, Canizari and Jake the Kid Berg, April 24th, 1931. Look at black and white images of the fights of the past and look at the trunks and look at the boxing shoes. There's a big difference, isn't there? That's how much of boxing has evolved over the years. And of course, Canizari had a great knockout punch. This was displayed in this fight in their trilogy. And in April 25th, 1981, more recent, Thomas Hearns, round 12, the Hall of Famer, stopped Randy Shields, retaining the WBA welterweight title, then the Veterans Memorial Coliseum in Phoenix, Arizona. It was Hearns' second defense of his championship. The referee, Bobby Ferreira, stopped the fight after round 12 of 15. That's when championship fights went 15 rounds. He advised the ringside physician that Shields' cut above both thighs was enough. Tommy Hearns retained his title. The great Hall of Famer in that legendary time in the 80s, Hearns, Hagler, DeLand, Leonard. A great era for boxing. And my friends, if you're new to the sport or even been around the sport, you've been following the sport, and you like to see old fights, 1981 wasn't that too far off. Go on YouTube, catch that era, and see the difference, how it was than it is today with Hagler, Hearns, Duran, Leonard, and many more. It's fascinating. There's been an evolution, of course. The sport has changed, of course. We've got more streaming, of course, with the networks. Pay-per-view was just beginning then and did great numbers, and pay-per-view boxing is not doing as strong as it once was. However, we got to say this about the sport. Boxing has gone a long way since then. Boxing's evolved into the streaming network industry. There's a lot of money out there, as I keep telling you week after week here on the program. The fights are being made for you, the fans, and a lot of that is attributed to the promoters starting to work together based on one major person out there in Saudi Arabia, the Turk guy, who with the ring titles, the Ring magazine, and all that, you're seeing the big time fights. You're seeing the money fights. Now, whether they're here in the United States or Saudi Arabia, that is the question. But the major thing you can't say is that boxing is not strong. It is strong. It's just that we don't have enough fans following the sport that once was. A lot of the younger generation now, today, gear more towards the UFC and MMA. However, if they start to see what's going on in Saudi Arabia with the Turk guy who's bringing a lot of this action to the East Coast and to very unusual venues. Times Square next week, we're starting to see how boxing is once again strong, despite what the skeptics say. What do you think? Let me know here. Keep it in the ring on YouTube, my YouTube channel, Rich Mancuso. Like, comment, and subscribe. Also, the String Punk Entertainment, AGT Network. Like my Keep It in the Ring page. Thomas, come on in and say goodnight. We're almost done. And I want to thank you again for your great help, helping me put this together every week with the great Scott Churston over at String Punk Entertainment. So we go to next week, Tom. We go to next Friday. We go to Saturday. We'll get over Ben and Eubanks Jr. And then we go to next week. We go to the big weekend of boxing. Friday night, it starts in Times Square, New York, on the Zone. Is that pay-per-view?
Yeah. It's supposed to be a pay-per-view.
And then we go Saturday night, which is definitely pay-per-view with Canelo Alvarez and William Skull in Saudi Arabia for the IBF title that Canelo, no doubt, will get. Then we get Sunday, ESPN Plus or ESPN pay-per-view for the great Inui from Japan, who's back in the United States. So we have a great 3 days of boxing next weekend. Tom, boxing is strong. Don't you agree?
It's picking up steam. It's a lot of fights that I'm intrigued to see. I'm intrigued to see not just the fights, but the setups. And, obviously Times Square, just intrigued how that's going to work. And, because it still looks like it, to me, I still think they can't do it, but obviously they are going to do it. So I'm intrigued to see how they're going to do it, So,
well, we'll see. We'll see next Friday.
It's going to be
We'll
a
see
fun.
what
It's gonna be a fun
happens.
weekend.
It will be, Tom. Thanks for your great help as always. Great colleague, great friend. Next week we'll have more to talk about that and so much more. Fans, you reach me on social media again. X Ring786, Facebook.com, Rich Mancuso. And Thomas, where did you go? Come on back. You need to tell people how to get you.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, for me, you guys can check me here on YouTube at just put in my name. It's TD Sports Talk. You can catch me at just put in my name, Thomas Dillamove. You see me here at a ring also can see me at Ring Talk Worldwide. You can't see me, but you can hear me on with Pedro Fernandez every Sunday at about 2:05 Eastern time. So, pretty busy, but that's
all right. Keep up the great work. Keep up the great work. And you're a regular now on the program, as I tell everyone every week. And it's a pleasure to have you on board with me. Believe me.
I'm grateful to be here. Thank you.
You make it easy for me. Thank you, Tom. Talk to you next week. And to all of you out there, as I always say, be well, stay good to each other, and God bless. We'll be back with you live again next week, next Thursday Night Live, 8 p.m. Eastern, here on my YouTube channel, Rich Mancuso, with Keep It in the Ring, String Punk Entertainment, AGT Network, and, of course, like the Keep It in the Ring Facebook page. Till next week, my friends, as always, Tom didn't say it with me this week, but I will. Thank you for watching, and as always, keep it in the ring. Good night.
Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go.